On today's show, the guys talk with CXTec Vice President of the Technology Solutions Group, Frank Kobashevsky, about the trends in EdTech. We're going to talk about the East Initiative update and more. That's up next on EduTechGuys.
EduTechGuys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed under the site and its programs are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of EduTechGuys Radio. I'm your host, David Henderson.
Hey, and I'm Jeff Madlock.
We're not going to talk about the East Initiative update. We're going to have the East Initiative update. I know.
That sound you heard was David smacking his forehead.
It's one of those days, man.
Yeah, Spencer with the East Initiative, which is based here in Arkansas. The East Initiative is environmental and satellite technologies, wonderful classrooms.
Yeah.
They'll do a quick 5-minute. We've given them a 5-minute slot on the show, and they will bring us up to date with what their kids are doing, and it's a really good time. So we'll talk about that in a bit. Hey, remember to check us out on the web, www.edutechguys.com. You can go, heck, you know what? Just go to Google. Type in @EduTechGuys, and you will find everything that we do, from Twitter to Instagram, all the social media, all the web goodness. You will find us out there on the interwebs.
That's right. Everything we do. Oh,
yeah. So I've had about a full house up to here.
That happens a lot, believe me.
Hey, I hope your school year is going great. We are in the throes of it at this point. We are now fully committed. You probably finished your first 6 or 9 weeks, and everything's looking great. And you're wondering about EdTech and where you can move on from here. Always check out the ISTE website. Check out ARCOT. Check out all the sites. We're talking about ARCOT, the Arkansas Conference of Technology. That's the one coming up next here in Arkansas. But we'll talk some more about that in the show. Yeah.
Yep.
And like I said, you can always catch us on the web. Please hit Twitter and send us a direct message. If you'd like to be on the show, we will put you in the list. And we will go over that list, and Santa Claus helps us look at it, who's naughty and nice and all that. No, really, if you'd like to be on the show, just head out to the website. You'll find the link there to schedule yourself on our show. If we have an open slot, you're welcome to come on board.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear what you're teaching, what you're talking about, any products or services that you provide to the educational technology community.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are an independent musician or band or group or whatever you want to call yourselves, and you would like to have your music featured on EduTech Guys, reach out to us at EduTech Guys on Twitter and let us know, and we'll get back in touch with you and work out all the details that need to be worked out for that kind of thing. And we would love to feature your music on the show. And as Jeff always says, if you are either in a high school band or if you head up a high school band at your high school, if you're the sponsor, leader, band director, or whatever,
symphony director, choir director,
let us know about it and shoot us recordings of your folks playing music, and we would love to feature them on the show as well.
Love to have them.
It'd be very, very cool.
Yeah. Listen, if you'd like to sponsor us at any point, we are doing a lot of conferences, especially over the next 3 months.
Yeah.
I think every weekend we're booked, it seems like. From Texas to Florida and back again, we are out there doing stuff. And if you'd like to sponsor your product, your service, your company, anything, give us a holler. We'd love to put you on our big sign and take your money. So, actually, we use all the proceeds to actually fund the equipment that you see on the show if you watch us on YouTube. And don't forget, now you can catch us on YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube.com/EduTechGuys. You can actually see these two lovely faces.
Ding.
Yeah, as one of our friends said, that we're like, what was it, ear candy? Is that what they called it? Is that what they called it?
Ear candy for the radio.
Yeah, eye candy for the radio.
Eye candy for the radio. Yeah, that's what it was.
But you can catch us in a beautiful HD color.
Because that's how you want to see us.
You want to see us. Hey, let's jump into this. We've had it's been one of those days, hasn't it?
Oh my gosh, yes, it has.
David's been all over South Arkansas.
Oh yeah, been all over L.A., Lower Arkansas. Yes, I have been.
Touched a lot of computers.
I am going to say though, that is one of the very cool things about what we do. Is that we never have the same job twice. Those of you that are in educational technology, you know how that goes. First thing this morning, I was troubleshooting a smart board and also email capabilities out of a multi-function copier, and then transition to I was ripping apart very old school MacBooks and cannibalizing pieces and parts to try to Frankenstein something together. And we started with 2 working MacBooks and ended up with 7. So I'm just going to say, I'll break my arm, pat myself on the back. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I mean, you just never know. So
yeah, that's true. You never know what you're going to end up in this business.
In this business.
Well, let's jump into it. We'd like to welcome our guest onto the show. Hi, Frank.
Hey guys, David and Jeff, thanks for having me back.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming back on the show. Those of you that may not remember, or you may not know if you're a first-time listener or a recent listener, we actually had Frank on the show almost a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good times. Hey, Frank, go ahead and tell us who you are and who you're with and all that kind of good stuff.
Sure. It's great to see you haven't lost your sense of humor, and I wish I knew about the music thing. I played sousaphone in high school band and would have brought it in to toot some notes for you.
Oh, okay. Well, remember that. Year. Remember that for next time. That's right. Remember that for next time.
My name is, again, Frank Kobachewski. I'm the vice president at CXTec. We are a reseller of hardware, technology hardware and services up in Syracuse, New York. We're roughly 40 years old and really have stayed in the infrastructure space since our founding in 1978.
Wow.
So we have cable express cabling right through to a really exclusive brand of certified pre-owned equipment called Equal to New, as well as some maintenance programs that we'll talk about in a little bit.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. One of the things that I went back and was listening to our previous show and some of the things that we had talked about that were kind of new at the time, and then as things have changed, and really that's kind of one of the things that I really wanted to bring up is how things have evolved over the past year. I mean, you guys have been around for much longer than a year, as you mentioned. But just in the last year since you were on with us and visiting with us and visiting with our audience, what are some of the things that you see are really the hot and upcoming trends going on?
Yeah, the evolution of EdTech and the evolution of CXTec.
Yep. Well, our customer base is very diversified, but our largest vertical is the education space. Mm-hmm. And specific to that, with the mean time between failure for switching growing up to over 11 years, according to Gartner, we're a Gartner client. Customers are extending the life cycle and thereby needing support longer. So the concept of third-party maintenance or a hybrid support solution has really grown in importance with our education customers this last year.
That's awesome. That's we've noticed that's exactly right. As E-rate funds start to dwindle, and as education funds are starting to dwindle, we're realizing that every educational entity is realizing that we got to keep this stuff running at a better price, and that's something we've noticed with Chromebooks, that they're kind of hard to find parts for, especially if we're trying to do the maintenance ourselves, and we're looking for that third-party maintenance solution that can get those parts for us and keep us working in the black, so we're not losing a lot of money.
You're right, and things get more complicated because the OEMs force upgrades by raising the cost of support as product gets towards end of sale or end of life or end of support. And that's where we have found a great niche to help customers kind of identify the areas that third-party maintenance makes sense, where there's stable software, for instance, or a hybrid solution where OEM maintenance is needed in a core and TPM or third-party maintenance is a great solution at either the aggregation or the access layer.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you guys cover everything. I mean, from not just, we always just think of computers is what we think of, but you guys are talking network, you're talking VoIP, you're talking everything across the board.
We are, yes. That is our sweet spot, the infrastructure or plumbing of the network itself. Mm-hmm. And news maybe to you. We have recently acquired a company called Atlantics Global, which actually brings about a 40-year experience and reputation to us in the server storage arena.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So that's brand spanking new. We're still going through the branding process, but it really is going to allow us to wrap our arms around the whole IT asset lifecycle management.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
That's going to bring a whole new ball game to your customers and your future customers, because that's a big one right there. And you talk about getting into that in the market now. That's very costly, especially in the maintenance end of it. So you guys are going to kind of cover both ends of that. That's beautiful.
Right.
Awesome. So we were talking about how you guys have evolved. Anything else moving forward? I mean, I know that your third party maintenance is a really, really big deal, because that's going to be huge, and we're going to see you pretty soon at one of the conferences here in Arkansas. We'll talk about it here in just a second. But what else is on the horizon for CXTec? You've made this acquisition of the Atlantic Group, and now what else is on the horizon for us to look forward to and your customers to look forward to?
Well, I think that acquisition is a huge chunk for us, because we in essence have doubled our size and doubled our capabilities from a product standpoint and support. They also have a third-party maintenance program, so we're going to meld those programs together to actually make it seamless for our customers. Cool. And again, in the education space especially, it is the number one area of interest for our sales team. Which I'm hoping when we're down in Arkansas, we get to speak to a lot of folks about that and the trends we see in more detail.
Yeah. Sure.
So do you find a lot of the customers and asking for on-site support? What do you see the most of? Is your support levels differ between the stuff that's shipped back to you for repair and support and updating, or do you guys also provide on-site support?
We do a blend, and basically we look at the maintenance offering as very unique. So we'll come up with a concept that's called green, red, yellow. Green would be great for third-party maintenance. Yellow is let's talk about the business issues. Red would be let's stick with OEM. And then within those levels, there's 4-hour support, and there's next business day. Primarily for education, we see next business day, so it's a guaranteed next business day is a good option.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful. So there's a great thing. I can tell by your level of what you got, just our brief interview here, you guys put a lot of personal, individualized ideas behind how you're going to provide maintenance and support for your customers. That's definite just by hearing those 3 levels, and I know it probably goes much deeper than that.
It does.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. So let's talk about Arcot. That's everybody loves that name, Arcot. I've called it everything. You name it, I've called it. I've added word letters to it. It's but it's the Arkansas Conference of Technology, and I've forgotten his name. Who's the young man that started that?
Daryl Parks.
Daryl Parks started that. I guess
Darryl.
It's been 3 years ago. This is the 3rd one, isn't that right? Yeah. And initially it was in January, wasn't it? Was that the first time we were there? And they moved it back into October because it was kind of a better time for all of us to do it in October. And it has grown leaps and bounds. And the interesting thing about it this is your first time to come to Arcot, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Cool. You're going to find that it is all technology coordinators, and that's what it is. There's not going to be any teachers there. It's just the folks that you want to deal directly with, and you're going to talk shop with all these people, and that's the workshops and things that are going on the whole time. It's all shop, so you guys are going to love it, and it's going to be a direct marketed for you guys.
I'm actually I'm speaking at one of the shops on Thursday morning, the 19th at 9 a.m.
Oh, sweet,
awesome!
So I'm hoping to get a good audience there that can flow over into our exhibit booth. I just will warn everybody, our color is orange up here, but I know in the SEC orange is not good, but we are Razorback fans for SEC. And we're going to have some we're going to have some footballs. They're going to be thrown out to the crowd and everything. So
Oh,
That's
cool.
very cool. So what, now for those folks who don't know ARCOT, the Arkansas Conference of Technology, you're not familiar with the format, it is different than, I would say, 99% of the conferences that, at least that I've been to, in that vendors are allowed to present, but you're not allowed to present a commercial. Right? So you have to have content that you're presenting that is not a commercial for your organization, for your company. So what you're presenting on Thursday, so what is your topic going to be?
My topic is creative ways to reduce CapEx and OpEx with technology infrastructure. So I'm going to talk about the risks of buying used equipment, the benefits of buying used, certainly talk about the mean time between failure and what's happening with the merchant silicon chips and the extended life. I will speak about TPM and hybrid support for services, asset recovery, and then kind of as a special little twist, we're trying something a little bit different. We've got what I'm calling Tales from the Trenches with the guy who heads up our education team, and to talk specifically about E-rate little tricks and other contract vehicles such as PEPM and TIPS.
Yeah, awesome.
So we hope to add some value of somebody just kind of to leave there to say, that was interesting. I didn't think about that. And if we do that, then that piece is a success.
Yeah, that's very cool.
So for our listeners, explain what CapEx and OPEX is, so they can kind of understand what you're talking about when you're talking about lowering the CapEx and OPEX.
Absolutely. So capital expense is usually when you actually have a budgeted item in your capital budget. For instance, buying more product. Right. So if we were a manufacturer, we would like you to upgrade every 3 to 5 years and keep buying more products. So you're spending more CapEx on product. Mm-hmm. OpEx is operational costs, and that expense usually comes out of your maintenance budget. And that's, as most tech people know, one of the greatest pressure points that people are faced with right now is how to maintain all those systems out there in the right way and protect yourself, because these folks are charged with keeping things going at night and working during the day and people safe during the day at schools. So the OpEx that we can help lower is we could cut probably 50 to 60% out of your support costs from OEM support if you looked at TPM where it makes sense for networks. Mm-hmm. So by combining both the CapEx savings and OpEx, that's exactly what we're speaking about.
Wow, that's very cool.
That's perfect. And you'd be surprised how many techs out there, we're techs. We're not business guys.
Right.
So, yeah. But it's good to know that information, because it helps us better understand when we're purchasing new services, when we're using our maintenance funds in a certain area, and when we're looking at what we're going to purchase with our capital funds, to know that we've got somebody on the other end who's watching out for the bottom line for us. And that it's definitely, you guys are definitely on top of that. So that's really cool.
And we like to help, depending upon the audience, we like to help bridge that gap. We were at a Gartner financial procurement show in Nashville 2 weeks ago, and it was really procurement folks who really needed to get a set of brains to help the technology folks do what they needed within the budgets that the procurement people were kind of granted. And budgets these days are moving from IT out to business units. So business units have to be much smarter, and that's what we're trying to help them become.
Well, and to try to get all of those folks, you can get them in the same room, but you can't necessarily get them all speaking the same language. So getting everybody to be on the same page in terms of what the needs are and what the budgets are, what the costs are, and what that looks like from the tech perspective, what that looks like from the business/school/organization perspective, and what it looks like from the folks that are directly involved from the budgetary perspective. It's vital, especially these days where you're not necessarily, those folks are not necessarily all the same person. In a lot of cases, you're dealing with multiple people who aren't necessarily, like I said, speaking the same language.
Right.
One of the things that we talked about the last time you were on was one of the upcoming hot things at that time was kind of a rebirth of VoIP. Is that still something that's hot on your radar? Has that cooled off a little bit? Where do you see VoIP, especially in light of what's going on with E-Rate doing away with plain old telephone service discounts?
Well, that's a fantastic question, because we've actually seen VoIP almost plateau off because things like security and storage have taken the front burners for any funds that are available. And if schools have dial tone with a TDM line, they're pretty happy with that. And the savings and justification for voice over IP, I don't think is initially what folks expected it to be. And people are going, to the cloud, for instance, or the current buzzword in technology is bimodal, where bimodal means you've got 80% of your budget to keep things going and keep things running the way they are, but only 20% to invest in those real important technology things.
Sure.
Cool. So we kind of try to guide people down that path and help them upgrade at the pace that makes sense to them.
Yeah, that is awesome. That is great stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I was making some notes here. So you guys are coming up on 40 years. I guess that's next year. It's 2018. Will be 40 years in the business.
Yes, sir. 2018.
That's pretty awesome. So big, huge savings. I'm just messing with this. But yeah, that's pretty impressive. I mean, that's really impressive. You guys have been around, and you're one of the top names that always floats to the top when it's time to take care of business, and it's time to send out bids and to do all that stuff. And you win a lot of bids. That's because you've been doing it for almost 40 years. I mean, you're right on the doorstep of it. That's pretty amazing. We're really excited to hear about your acquisitions and how that's going to help move forward. David and I know David uses CXTec, so
full disclosure disclaimer. This interview has nothing to do with that at all. But we recently here at the organization where I work, we recently bought refurbished core equipment. It's all HP ProCurve with the. Now I can't think of the word. The chassis. It's chassis based with the modules, and then we also went with
4507. Yeah. 5703 chassis. Yep.
Yeah, and so we went with a couple of those, and then we also ended up going with you guys for our VoIP solution. It turns out you were talking about where that cost savings isn't necessarily being realized by a lot of organizations. In our particular case, it actually is significant, and so and we've been real happy with it, and appreciate all the help that we've gotten. My personal rep has changed a time or two, I think, in the last year. So, but anyhow, it's always been good stuff.
Growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Sarah will be down with us at Archon, and cool. You'll get a chance to meet her, which is awesome. And I do appreciate your business, but we can't do what we do without the support of the people we've got here. I mean,
absolutely.
It's been a great ride.
Well, and just for those folks listening, the Arkansas Conference of Technology is happening October 18th through the 20th, and we will be providing live coverage, and hopefully we'll be able to get somebody from CXTec to sit down and join us. And just want to thank you again so much, Frank, for coming on the show and keeping us updated with what's going on CXTec, and look forward to meeting you in person in a couple of weeks.
I do as well. Thanks for the time, and really appreciate having me back on.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Give us just a second, Frank. We're going to drop into the East Initiative update. So let's take a listen. This is from the East Initiative. This is their update for this week. Stay tuned to the EduTechGuys.
Hello, everyone. I'm Spencer Watson with the East Initiative. Welcome to the East Update. I often hear the question, what is East? But the thing is, there are a lot of answers to that question.
When I walked in, I looked around at all of the technology and how many computers they had in there. The 3D printer. I was intimidated. The most I'd done with computers is do a search on Google. I had no idea what I was doing. But now when I walk into East, I'm excited to start working because I know the software and I'm not scared of it anymore.
That was Ella Pace, a freshman at Hot Springs World Class High School. Like all East students, Ella is using sophisticated technology to develop projects that solve community problems. This week, I sat down with Ella and some of her classmates and asked them to talk about their experiences in East and how those experiences have influenced their learning and their lives. Here's sophomore Miles Herman.
I think East has definitely helped me to see that, we're not just students, we're capable of anything that anybody else is capable of. I've learned how to use different programs. I've taught other people how to use different programs, or at least help them learn. And it just helps you to better understand the world we live in, not necessarily as a student, but as a productive member of society.
Since virtually day one in East, Miles has been working to solve a flooding problem in downtown Hot Springs, one that's been around for a century. He's developed a solution, and it could save the city millions. In East, students have the chance to pick and choose what technologies they engage with and, in the process, learn as they go. Here's Fahim Matan talking about that process.
Well, it lets me mess with the tools, and I eventually just catch on to this tool does this, and this is how I'd use it.
Fahim and his project partner, Elliot Williard, both sophomores, built an app last year to promote literacy. They learned to code by coding as they built it, a process that took them to Washington, D.C., where they competed against industry professionals from all over the world for an X Prize. Here's Elliot on applying that East style of learning across different programs like Adobe Photoshop.
I think it's easier to learn when you're self-directed because you have more motivation. You don't just do the assignment, you also try to learn other things to better the image that you're trying to mock up or whatever. So you come up with your own ideas and everything, so if you think it's boring, you only have yourself to blame, so.
You only have yourself to blame, he said. That's a powerful sense of ownership, and one that veteran East students are quick to share with their colleagues. Here's Miles again.
I think in East, since it is a student-led class, it's easier to help other students learn how to learn. Not necessarily showing them how to work a program or do their homework, not that, but showing them the steps that they can take in order to learn it by themselves and how to better self-growth. You can always learn so much better by doing it yourself, by learning it yourself. And that's one of the big aspects of East and core belief that I think would be learning how to do lots of things on your own and not necessarily self-sufficient, but learning how to better use your resources on your own.
See, the thing about knowing how to identify and utilize resources is that it translates to other classes and beyond. It augments other learning styles. Ella and I bonded over being academic overachievers, always wanting to know the right answer, always wanting to ace the next test. But East pushes students out of that comfort zone.
Deciding to be in East really kind of taught me how to not know everything about a subject and be tossed in head first and kind of learn as you go. I didn't really like being not in the know, and East has really developed that side of my learning, but it's really kind of taught me how to get my hands dirty with learning.
As those of us in the working world know, that's useful, and students in East know it too.
I mean, it's one thing to lay out what you want to do when you grow up, but it's another thing to actually do, where you're like computer science or something like that, to actually start learning and coding an app or something like that.
If you're interested in knowing more about the East Initiative, from information on student projects to the professional development services we offer to educators of all kinds, please visit www.eastinitiative.org or just search for East Initiative on social media. If you're interested in finding out how to get an East classroom for a school near you, please contact eastinfo@eaststaff.org. That's EASTINFO at EASTSTAFF.org. Special thanks to John Stokes, East Facilitator at Hot Springs World Class High School, and his students Ella Pace, Miles Herman, Fahim Matan, and Elliot Williard. The music you've been hearing is called A Piece of Me by Andrew Perry, submitted from East at Paragould High School. Again, I'm Spencer Watson, and that's the East Update.
Hey, ouch. That is the East Initiative update. Thank you so much.
The ouch. Dave tried to rip his ear off with a headset here.
Oh, my gosh. The funny thing about all this technology is that sometimes I got my wires crossed. Don't cross the streams.
We have that problem a lot. We cross a lot of wires.
Wow.
Yeah. Rip your ears off. Hey, remember to check us out on the web, www.edutechguys.com. Just jump out there and find us, and we'll be glad to hear from you. Go down the bottom of the page and fill out the contact form. But, heck, just go to Google, type in @EduTechGuys, and you will see every social media and website that we have out there.
Exactly.
Always catch us on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com. For your listening and enjoyment. No, soundcloud.com/EduTechGuys. I always want to do that.
There it is.
SoundCloud, you can catch us on iTunes. Check our podcast there. Just go to the podcast section. Check us out on iTunes, Google Play, Sketcher, you name it. We're out there. So you can find all of our good stuff. And next week, we actually got to catch up. If you want to see us live, and trust me, you think that this is a hot mess.
That's right.
You definitely want to see us live.
Wait until you're sitting there watching it.
Yeah, because it gets crazy. So we will be at this weekend. We will be at the TCCA conference in Aldine, Texas. Yeah, it's October 7th, Saturday in Houston, in Aldine, Texas. Mm-hmm. Then after that, we'll be at the Arkansas Conference of Technology. We were just talking about it, ARCOT. That's October the 18th through the 20th. Pre-conference on the 18th. We will be live on the 19th and 20th. Yeah, that's in Little Rock, Arkansas.
And then from there, we will be in Hot Springs at the end of October at the Schools Without Walls Conference at the Hot Springs Convention Center. And then at the end of November into December, November 30th through December 2nd, at the AESA conference in San Antonio. And we don't stop there.
No. Then we take a little time for Christmas and some family time, and then we are back in Orlando in January 23rd to the 26th. We will be at FETSI at the Orange County Convention Center in beautiful Orlando, Florida. That's a nice 3-day conference that we have a really great time at. All of them. We have a great time at all these conferences. Hey, if you're listening to us and you'd like to sponsor the EduTech Guys, please reach out to us, Jeff at edutechguys.com or David at edutechguys.com. Hey, it's been a great show. I think we better take this opportunity to get off the air.
Exit stage left.
Heavens to Murgatroyd. So, there's an oldie but a goodie.
There you go.
Hey, I'm Jeff Madlock.
I'm David Henderson.
We'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to EduTech Guys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed on the site and its programs are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.